Welcome to Shabbos Shoutout. Several years ago, a woman by the name of Rachel Sofer wrote a refreshingly honest article for the Orthodox Union, which she titled, My Struggle for Prayer. Rachel wrote, I can't daven. I've tried. Really tried. Not just the shutting my eyes and swaying type of tried. I've tried charts and incentives, threats, and no end of internal Musar ethics talks to myself. I've tried saying the word slowly and then super fast so as not to lose concentration. I've studied the book Praying with Fire and several others. As an intellectual exercise, the learning's been great. In terms of my davening, it was basically pointless. I've even tried completely stopping to daven for a couple of weeks so that when I started again, it would be exciting and fresh. It was nice, she wrote, not to daven. I have such respect for Rachel for sharing her thoughts in such a forthright manner. What can we do to connect with davening, with prayer? At the age of 91, Yosef Zalman Kleiman still vividly remembers the trial of Adolf Eichmann, where he was one of over 100 witnesses who delivered testimony. Decades after the Eichmann trial, Yosef Zalman is still telling his story and is quite famous in Israel. The footage of his testimony at the Eichmann trial is studied in Israeli schools today, and until Corona, Yosef often spoke to students in their schools. During Kleiman's testimony, the prosecutor, Gideon Hausner, asked him to repeat the specific story that he had discussed with him during their meeting. There was hardly a dry eye in the room when Yosef Zalman related the following. One day, I saw the barracks commander's assistant walking with a rubber hose in order to flog someone. I climbed down from my bunk and went to see who was receiving the beating. And as I watched, he ordered one of the boys, who was around 14 years old, to climb down from his bunk, and he began beating him. We stood there, Yosef Zalman said, group of a few boys, and we watched this scene. This was a common sight in Auschwitz, but this time something unique happened. The boy didn't scream, cry, or even whimper. We stood around and counted the blows. We counted to 20, then 30, and we were all astounded by the fact that he wasn't making a sound. We had never seen anything of the sort before. After the 40th blow, the deputy commander of the barracks turned him over on the ground and began beating him on his face and legs, but he still didn't utter a peep. After the 50th blow, he left, and we helped the boy to his feet. What did you do? We asked him. Why did they beat you? He replied, I brought my friends some Sidurim, some prayer books, so that they could daven. And then he looked at us, and he added, it was worth it. That was all he said. I began with the story of Rachel Sofer, who wrote about her struggle with prayer. Rachel ended her essay with the following brief story and insights. Menachem Begin, former Prime Minister of Israel, was holding a meeting in his house. A religious cabinet member excused himself and tucked into a corner to whisper a speedy mincha, afternoon prayer. What's the point? The Prime Minister asked him. Do you think that a tefillah, a prayer like that, accomplishes anything? No, replied the fellow honestly, but at least I'm trying. And I know if I do that 3 times a day, eventually I'll make some sort of connection. But if you never even go through the motions, and Rachel added, I found that story to be tremendously inspiring. See, even if I'm just going through the motions, there is a point. One of these days, she added, I'm going to make a connection. Do you have a hard time praying? If you keep at it, one of these days, you'll make a connection. Keep trying. It'll be worth it. Good Shabbos.